Hey there, and welcome back to another episode of the Visual Mind podcast, where we talk about all things business and mindset for artists. Today, I wanted to start with a little self promotion because I'm starting to offer coaching now. I've been offering coaching for a while now, but now the spots are open and you can apply for coaching. And if you're quick, you get a spot right away. And you can just head on over to my website, visualmindart.com/coaching. And the reason why I think coaching is so effective is because you have someone who's been where you are currently and who really knows what it's like to be there and who has gotten out of it, or at least has learned something from that situation and is now ahead of you. And honestly, I've been starting to invest in coaching, really investing in it half a year ago. I've had multiple one-off sessions before that with different people and really enjoyed that as well. But I really started to consistently get coached in August, I think. And since then, I've learned so much. My business has evolved so much. I, as a person, have evolved. I've learned so many things that I didn't even know were possible to learn in that short amount of time. And one of the things that I've learned is actually the topic that I wanted to talk about today. So honestly, coaching has really evolved, has helped me evolve my business and my mindset, and it makes such a big difference because you have someone who's gonna hold you accountable and gonna point out things that you never would have thought about. And honestly, we don't always spot our self-sabotage, and sometimes we do, and we just can't, we don't know how to get out of it. And if someone points out what has been going on, because sometimes from an outsider's perspective, and especially someone who's done it before, they can spot it right away and they can probably relate to your struggles. So that really, really helps. So if you're ready and interested to invest in coaching, I offer it now. And I know what it's like to start an art business. I know all the fears and self-doubts. I've been there. I've felt them all. I still feel a lot of them. And I've learned so much over the course of the last 3 years where I've been building my professional art business. So go ahead and check out the show notes. I'm gonna put a link for my coaching there, and also it's on visualmindart.com/coaching. You can either buy it directly over my website, it's set up like an online shop, or you can message me in case you want to have a payment plan. Just feel free to message me. Don't be scared. Even if later on you decide not to do it, I'm not gonna be angry or anything. If you have any questions, just feel free to message me. Don't be scared. So now let's get started with the actual topic for today. And it is that you need to focus on less things, and I'm gonna share with you why you need to focus on less things. And I didn't want to hear that when I first started the coaching in August. And what I did was I jumped from one thing to the next, and I know I've been consistent with a lot of things in my business. I've been consistently uploading videos on my YouTube channel. And that on its own is something so special. And I never would have thought that I would be able to do something like that a few years ago. I never thought that I could be that consistent with anything. And it's just such a no-brainer for me now to upload a video every week. So I've been really consistent with that. But in other areas of my business, I've been jumping from one thing to the next. I've started a Patreon. Now I've quit the Patreon because I realized that I don't really want to do it after all, at least not for now. And I've started so many things. I've I didn't even quit all of them, to be honest. I mean, I create Skillshare courses, I work with brands. Sometimes I really want to post consistently on Instagram, but my main platform is YouTube. I also do this podcast. I've started so many things. I create stickers and sell them on my online shop. And I now I do the coaching. But honestly, the coaching is what I've always wanted to do after all. And it's just what I was most scared of to do. And I didn't want to find out that I couldn't do it. But now that I've started it and coached some people, I found out, hey, I love it. I think I'm good at this. People seem to have been helped. And so why was I so scared and why didn't I want to do it right away? Because I'm human. And you are probably human too, so you can probably relate. And honestly, I've started so many things, then found out that they don't bring enough money for my business right away. Then I quit them, started something new, and the cycle repeats itself over and over again. And I found that I have this with money because as soon as something starts to earn money, I decide that it's not enough. I jump to the next thing. Whereas if I could have just stuck with it and promoted it more, it could have made enough money. I'm convinced. But yeah, I now get to say that because if I would have, then I could have. And that's exactly the point. Because if you jump to the next thing, you can always say, hey, if I wouldn't have jumped, then that could have been so successful. It's like you're protecting yourself. I don't know if I'm making sense right now, but it's just one of the reasons why we jump onto the next thing, to protect our potential. Because then you get to say, hey, if I would have stuck with this, I really could have done it. I really could have been successful. And it's like in school when you wait until the last minute, or not the last minute, but almost the last minute to learn for a test. And then you do, let's say you have an average grade, and then you say, hey, imagine what I could have done if I'd spent more time learning for this test, studying for it. And then you get to protect your potential because you have so much potential that you just didn't tap into. You're just protecting yourself. Because what if you really gave it a go, really gave it your best, and then you figured out, hey, you still didn't get the best grade. You still didn't make enough money with this. It was still, quote unquote, not good enough. So in order to stop that from happening, in order not to have this happen, you protect your potential and don't give it your best shot. And for me, it's that I jump from one project to the next. And talking to other creative people, I've learned that I'm definitely not alone in this. Most people actually do this. They start sewing and then they do crochet, then they do doll making, build doll houses, get into clay and pottery, then they start painting, then they get back into art journaling that they did a while back, and they just jump from one thing to the next. And honestly, I used to do that as well before I had my YouTube channel, and now I'm doing it with my business. So we're all in the same boat if you do this as well. And honestly, what I've currently learned now, I really want to stay with something, and I've really limited my business to fewer things. And one of the reasons why I actually put down my Patreon is because I noticed that it takes a lot of time and energy, and I don't want to make it my main thing. But in order for it to be successful, I would have to put more thought and time into it. And I just wanted to put that time and energy into what I actually want to do. And so I think it was a good decision to quit with the Patreon. And I'm now focusing on the coaching, really want to give this a go, really want to promote it, even though it's scary, and just put myself out there and face all the limiting beliefs and keep doing Skillshare and promoting my Skillshare as well. So these are my main things now, still working with brands, but that's just when it happens, and you can't really predict whether a brand is gonna work with you, and that's not gonna be my main focus ever. But my main thing is now the coaching, and I really wanna stick with that for a while. And what's gonna happen, and I'm sure about that, because right now I'm still motivated. Even though I'm scared, I'm still very motivated. And if after a while I don't have the results that I wanted, and I don't know if how much that is. I mean, it could be I had just 2 clients versus 10, or whatever the numbers are going to be. After a while, I might decide that the results aren't what I want, and instead of just changing my strategy, I'm gonna wanna quit this as well and just move on to the next thing, because that's what happens when you are in the dip. So at first, when you start something, you're in this kind of honeymoon phase where everything is fun and you learn and you have a really good mindset because you're motivated, and you make a lot of mistakes, but you accept that because you're just starting out, and that's okay. And then after a while, you're still making mistakes. You still don't have enough results. Your YouTube channel still doesn't have enough views, or whatever it is you're trying to achieve. You don't have enough sales on your art shop, or all those things. And after a while, we start to judge the results that we have, the mistakes that we make, all those things, and then the motivation is gone. So the combo of not having results and also not having motivation is really dangerous, because that's when our brain gets this kind of shiny object syndrome, where everything else looks like it's so much more fun and everything else could work so much quicker. And then you're gonna wanna do something else. And honestly, that happened with my YouTube channel as well, because it's really hard to get results quickly when you're doing a YouTube channel. I mean, I guess it happens for some people, but the vast majority of people will not be an overnight success on YouTube, and that's okay, because the reason why I did it was because I wanted to grow. And in order for my channel to grow, I had to grow as well, and I had to force myself to stick with it. And there were so many times where I absolutely did not want to upload a video, did not want to create one. Really, it did not happen effortlessly. I didn't want to do it. I wanted to hang out with my friends before the whole COVID stuff hit. I wanted to do so many other things than create videos at times. Sometimes I was not motivated at all, but I just kind of forced myself through it. Sometimes you don't want to expect to be motivated, because you're not going to be motivated all the time. And sometimes that's okay. Sometimes you just have to accept that you're not motivated. You just have to accept that it's not fun, and you still gotta do it. It's like working out. Sometimes you don't feel like it, but if you wanna be fit and do this on a consistent basis, then you're gonna have to work out even if you don't feel like it, even if the bed is so warm and fluffy and you just want to stay in there, but you just have to get out and do it anyways. This is why I always talk about have a very clear purpose and why you do this. And it doesn't have to be one answer only why you do this. It can be so many answers, and you can go so deep with this. And if you really want to get clear on your purpose, then having a coach could help you a lot, because they can call you out on every answer that's kind of a bullshit answer, because we often give those and don't even realize them when things come up like, I just want to be happy. That's not a real purpose. It's not a real goal. Art makes me so happy. Yeah, it can't make you happy all the time, and being happy honestly, it can't be the goal, because nothing in this world is always gonna make you happy. And I'm pretty sure if I just want to be happy is your purpose, then there is something else underneath, and you could just go a few layers deeper and find the actual answer. So, really keep that in mind. Don't forget the why, and there's no right or wrong answer. Even if I just told you that I don't think being happy is a good answer, but there's no right or wrong answer in the end to the question why you're doing it. Only you can tell, only you are the judge for that, even though sometimes it's very helpful if someone can help us with that and guide us with that. It's still your answer, and you can have multiple answers. I just want you to remind yourself of why you're doing this again and again, to just get through this dip. And when you don't feel motivated, when you don't want to do it, then you're gonna reread what you wrote down, or you can also record it or whatever. You're just gonna remind yourself of all those reasons why you do this, and then you're just gonna stick with it. And it's gonna feel like it's not gonna feel good. It's gonna feel uncomfortable, and you don't wanna do it. But at the end of the day, the only way to be successful at anything is to stick with it, is to be consistent with it. Because if you upload three videos to your YouTube channel, even if those were the best videos in the entire world, if you quit after the third video, you're not gonna be a successful YouTuber. It's just not gonna happen. Even if you have super successful videos, you're not really a YouTuber if you don't keep producing YouTube videos. So honestly, we really want you to get into the habit of doing this over and over and over again. And if you have an art business or trying to sell your art, you just have to promote your art pieces over and over and over again, and just stick with one thing, and just I always recommend just picking one main platform that you promote your art on. For me, that's YouTube, and everything else doesn't have to be consistent. I upload on Instagram whenever I kind of feel like it. I record a new podcast episode when I feel like it. There's no clear schedule to those things. But with my YouTube channel, that's my main platform. I upload a video every single week. That's my main platform, and that's what I recommend to other people as well. So you can't jump around as much, and that's really gonna help you keep you accountable. And what's gonna happen is, when you, let's say you do a YouTube channel, and then after a while you don't have the views yet, and you see that your videos are not doing well enough that you wanted, and you figure out that you can't keep creating the same videos, so you're gonna have to do some research. What are the kinds of thumbnails that people are clicking on? What could you change about your video? Could you amp up the quality of your video? So that's gonna happen after a while. I don't want you to overthink these things in the beginning. In the beginning, we just want you to upload videos, but after a while, when you are in the dip, and when you don't see a lot of results, you can research a little bit and just learn more about the platform, and ask yourself, hey, how could I change? Not how could I change to another platform, not how could I switch to something else, but how could I, as a person and with my content, change to make this more successful? And it's really gonna force you to grow so much more versus when you jump from one thing to the next. Because after a while, you're gonna have to ask yourself, hey, this is clearly not working the way I want it to. Is there any way that I could improve it? And also define what it means to fail at something, because I had a coaching call with someone and she told me she's scared that she will fail at her YouTube channel. And I asked her, hey, what would that look like if you failed? And she couldn't even tell me a direct and clear answer to that question. She told me, yeah, if I try something once and I try it really, really hard, and then it's not the way I wanted it, then I failed. And I told her, I mean, while she said that, she already realized that that's not gonna work for her, that mentality or mindset is not gonna work for her. But sometimes we just need to express our thoughts verbally and tell them someone else to just really understand how ridiculous it is. I mean, if someone told you, hey, I tried it once and it didn't succeed, so I failed. I mean, on an intellectual level, we all know that it doesn't work like that. Imagine if a child tried to walk once, it didn't work, and then it gave up and never learned to walk. They have to fall down so many times until they can walk. And I know you're probably sick of this analogy already because so many people use it, and honestly, I can't hear it anymore. So I don't know why I keep repeating it, but it's probably a good analogy for this. You just have to try it again and again and again and again. And if you don't even know what it means to have failed at something, what are you exactly scared of? Because my YouTube channel wasn't an overnight success. I didn't have thousands of subscribers after one video. I mean, I think I hit 10,000 subscribers after 2 years of consistently uploading. So it takes a while to have the people, the followers, to have the results. It really takes a while. And you have to stick with it. And honestly, I'm gonna do the same thing with my coaching now. I'm gonna promote this over and over and over again and not listen to my brain when it comes up with all those excuses why I shouldn't do it. Because our brains are so sneaky, they want us to get out of it, and they have such compelling reasons why we shouldn't do something. And honestly, I've learned that my brain often lies to me so many times. And later on, I found out that it had been lying to me, and I could literally prove that my thoughts that I had weren't right. So honestly, it's a matter of not believing what you're thinking. You don't have to believe every thought you have. And I love to say my brain does that to protect me. My brain works like that. I just talk about my brain in the third person, so I'm not as attached to it, because it's just a pattern that I learned over time, and my brain is following that pattern. It doesn't mean that I am that. Someone on my YouTube channel recently commented that they are a procrastinator, and that gives me just so many alarm bells ringing, because you don't want to define yourself as a procrastinator. You are not a procrastinator. Your brain just picked up a pattern of procrastination. Your brain is trying to protect you, and it thinks that it's dangerous to change. Our brains don't want to change because they love familiarity, because what you've been doing so far has kept you alive. And so it's clearly working. Your brain wants you to stay alive. So it's just gonna repeat the patterns that it learned. And you just have to unlearn those patterns. And it's uncomfortable. Our brain does not want to change. And that's what it all boils down to. That's the reason why change is uncomfortable. Just because our brains are trying to stay effective and use those neural pathways or whatever they're called that are already established, and it does not want to go into new directions. And in order to create new patterns, you just have to repeat it over and over again, and just do something for a while and stick with it so you can change. And that's honestly, at the end of the day, with any kind of business, that's the goal that we have. We want to grow as a person. I think business is the best personal development tool, and my coach always says that as well. And I really love that, because honestly, your business shows you where you are as a person. And I mean, it doesn't show everything about you. There are a lot of very successful people who could do better in other areas of their lives, who could be a lot kinder and all those things. But honestly, if you are a person who really wants to improve yourself and are super self-reflective, or you want to get into being this kind of person, then having a business is awesome, because it's going to show you the ways that you've grown, and it's going to force you to grow, because you have to figure out new strategies. You have to figure out how to stick with something. So I'm really proud that I figured that out, and that I now not only intellectually understand that I just have to stick with something, I also understand it emotionally and really deep down, which is a very, very different topic. And I started with the coaching, which is what I actually want to do, what I wanted to do all along. I wanted to build an art business and show others how to do the same thing and inspire them and help them, because I really want artists to thrive, and I want to help them not to be a starving artist, and to show up and not be so scared that they have to stick with their self-doubt and listen to that. I really want to help them really use their potential rather than protecting it, and risk the rejection and risk the quote unquote failure, because that's gonna bring up so much, and it's gonna help us so much, gonna help us evolve, and we're gonna grow as people. And so now I'm really proud of myself for having figured all of that out. I'm proud of my past self, and I'm trying to give myself as much credit as I can. And now I want to stick with this, and I hope you're coming along on my journey, having something that you are consistent with, staying with it, going through the dip, and you can do this just as much as I can. And again, if you want coaching, if you want to enroll, just head on over to my website. You can buy it directly there. Or like I said, you can just message me if you want to have a payment plan or have any further questions about scheduling the date or anything. Just feel free to reach out to me. I hope that you enjoyed this episode, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.